So I would like to start off by saying that if any of my opinions about this game anger you in any way, please don't be hostile and be an angry little baby in the comments. We're all grown and everything's up for debate, don't get me wrong. You can have friendly discussion and talk about it with me or talk about it with other people in the comments, but be friendly. I feel like I have to reiterate that a million times when I talk about these story games, and I'm just going to try my best to keep it at least mitigated. Have some love in your heart. So let me begin. I have never played Ghost of Tsushima until this week. I actually used to have a PlayStation. I may have played 10 minutes of it, but I really couldn't get into it. So I decided that once I got another PlayStation that I would play through it because everyone had asked me if I would ever play it. So I started it early on last week and I ended up beating it in around 14 hours. I didn't do any side missions, none of the added on content like the DLC that everyone kept mentioning about, just the base story. So if you haven't completed the story yourself, I'd probably click away off this video because later on in this video I will be talking about how the story goes and how fantastic it is. So if you haven't, go play it. It's amazing. But I do have a lot of gripes about the game too, and things that I didn't really care. First off being the combat system. I gotta say, it's so fun. Don't get me wrong. It's extremely satisfying. It's really polished in most aspects. It's also really addictive. It's super fun. I love how many dynamics there is to it where you can throw bombs, knives, I think you call them, throw them and break enemy stances. I love that fact that you can use the bow and arrow with the blow dart gun and all the different stuff like the wind chimes to make people run off and you can pick them up off the map. I think that's so cool. There's so many good things, but there's also a lot of things that could be improved upon. For example, the camera is my biggest gripe. It's probably the clunkiest part of this game, especially when you're used to games like Dark Souls that they're clunky too with the camera, but they found a system that kind of worked. I feel like it's a little too crowded in this game for how the camera locks on so intensively. It kind of feels more of like Dark Souls where it kind of hard locks onto the character instead of doing something where it's a little more gentle and maybe snapping on and off from character to character a little bit easier and a little bit better and a little bit smoother. Something like God of War kind of perfected this a long time ago where their camera doesn't exactly lock on so hard where if you just barely touch your thumbstick, it's jumping to the next person. And people all kind of push in at one little level where it's easier to swap on and off people instead of this game where someone's pushing at you super close and then someone's going to be mid-range and then someone's going to be far, and it just doesn't feel like it works very well swapping from person to person. If I don't lock onto an enemy, I don't hit them as much. If I do lock onto one in particular, it'll never change the enemy closest to me, and it always snaps someone that's shooting a bow like 30 feet away or something. The combat's way too fast-paced to get stuck onto someone, especially for multiple seconds at a time. When you have 4 different people attacking you at one time, it's just hard. It's not to say that when you don't lock on, the combat isn't a blast, because it still does work. If you don't lock on to each individual person, it still works very well, but I think it could be vastly improved upon. Again, if you use like aim assist for the bow and arrow, I think that's also another thing about the camera that's just kind of horrible. Sometimes when I would shoot the bow and arrow, I feel like it would just hop down somehow, or the camera would relock down, but that's more of like an aim assist issue. That's not a camera issue for them. Another thing that I do actually like about the game is that the dodging is really addictive. The way you just kind of step to the side and you can swing and hit somebody after they've swung at you, or you can parry, stuff like that is so fun. It works so well in this game and it's amazing, but it also can be annoying at the same time. Like I said, I'm kind of using Dark Souls as reference for this, but I like having those frames, those split seconds where I'm invincible if I roll through an attack, and this game doesn't do that. It's really, really hard. If you dodge into a swing, you'll still get hit if you dodge wrong. You have to either step back, step certain sides, or double tap and roll all the way back. And it got me so heated, but it's not so much as a complaint as it is just kind of finicky. I feel like sometimes I would hit the button and I would move out of the way of the blade, but I'd somehow still get hit. And also, people just attack so much. Enemies attack you all at once, and I did start playing this game on hard and decided to tone it down to medium or low because it was a little overkill for me. And as you guys know, if you've ever watched my streams and stuff, I don't like a very hard story game experience, so that's more of just lack of skill to fight multiple. Again, I like 1 at a time or 2 at a time. Maybe. It's possible if you're good enough at the game, but again, I'm a Dark Souls fan, and I like that if I dodge, can't get hit, and I'm invincible. Now, I will say something I loved about the game is I loved swapping stances. Swapping stances throughout a fight can be annoying at times, but once you get the hang of it and you can slow down time by holding L2 and then change stances and then block as you're coming out of that slow motion to get a perfect parry and just plowing through groups of people in seconds, no diddy. It's one of the most unique combat systems I've ever found in any swordsman style game. So amazing. If you don't think you'll like it, I promise you, once you try it, you're going to be hooked forever. I wish stone stance didn't really exist. I honestly think that swordsmen should just be cooked by every type of stance, but they kind of are. You can swap to stone stance and it'll be useful because it is a little bit better, but every stance can kill the normal swordsman rather efficiently. So it's just the other things like brutes, shields, and spears where your stance is super, super important and you have to change depending on which one you use. But they're all kind of effective in some degree depending on how you use them. Like me, I like to parry more and I like to block at the perfect time and get that little stick in there between their shield and shit on them. That's my favorite style, instead of using the actual triangle and sitting there and spamming and knocking their shield down. Or again, as a brute, I like to just dodge the incoming attack and hit, and then dodge the next one and hit. And you can use any stance to do things. It's going to hit all the same because your sword's the same. Again, I was on an easier difficulty, so I bet the harder difficulties you get, that would be harder to do, but it is super addictive. It's fun and it's light if you put it on an easier difficulty, but if you're really good at these type of games, you can put it on a harder difficulty and just fucking get loud. No Diddy again, my fault. Okay, so now we're getting into spoiler territory, so please, I recommend you click away fast as possible. I don't want to spoil anything for you if you haven't beat the game, but I'm going to go ahead and say the feature that I love the most. It's the ghost stance and the ghost suit. Later on in the game, you unlock this feature where you pretty much just one-shot 3 enemies with 1 slash. R3 and L3 at the same time. It enables this ability where you're pretty much, it's like Rage in God of War, if that makes sense. But everything goes black and white, and you get this iconic Kill Bill kind of style where, you know, it comes on the screen, you hear this cool music, and everything goes black and white, and you know shit's about to die. It is the coolest feature in any game I've probably ever seen, especially in this setting. Because, you know, you're a samurai, everything goes black and white, and you get to slash it and watch the blood still be red, and it's so cool. It's so fun to walk up to the big brutes or like the leaders of the area of the Mongols and just slash them down with one hit. And the other aspect to all this comes with the feature that is fear. So the ghost suit and this ability, either or, if you upgrade it, there's a higher chance of enemies just dropping to the ground or running off when they see you because they're literally scared. Now, really, in the ghost stance, they're just kind of freeze in place and you can attack them because obviously they're not going to go anywhere. They kind of don't run or anything. But when you're actually just wearing the ghost suit that Taka made before he passes away, it literally has a 15 up to a 30% chance that someone's just going to drop down to the ground and start screaming, and you can just stand over them, stab them, and get an extra health. If you've watched any of my past videos, you know that I love when a game makes you the badass, and this just further pushes that narrative that you are the ghost, and the ghost is to be feared. So when someone watches your level of sword skill against their cousin Reggie, they're more liable to just burst into tears and book it into the woods as fast as they can, compared to just, okay, well, I'm all of a sudden just a badass random that I'm going to kill this legendary guy. It adds an element of realism to it, because I know if I seen somebody get cooked by a swordsman in front of me, I don't know, I may turn into a coward. I ain't gonna lie and pull the 9. It's definitely my favorite feature of the game, and I think it is the most iconic thing that this game will ever bring, and I don't think it can be replicated until, again, they make another game. Okay, so now this is full-on, full-effect spoilers. I am discussing the story, so you have no more time. If you want to hear the story, then you're just gonna have to suck it up, because I don't care. The game's been out for like 5-6 years anyway. You're grown. This game is, again, absolute cinema. I kept calling it that. That's what this title of this video is. It is absolute cinema, and it surprised me because this game starts off extremely slow. You don't really know which direction this is going to go, and you kind of have to make the direction of the game yourself on how you play. And I didn't understand that when I was first going into this because, again, it just felt kind of off. First off, I decided to go against Samurai Code immediately, which is the best story in my opinion. If you break away from the Samurai Code as Gen early on, it sets up the story later and later, as opposed to waiting later to break the code when the story actually requires you to, and then it's just like, oh, well, you know, I did a bad. I nearly honored everything too, and I did it that way for my first probably hour or two, but then my buddy Brandon told me, hey, definitely sneak and kill people, don't be honorary, and see how it goes, I promise. And it was definitely the best experience to me. But honestly, again, the story is slow up until the last 3 hours. It's very hit or miss. Besides everything going on with you and your uncle, it doesn't really have anything going for it. It feels dragged out other than your story with him, and then when you do reach the end, that has got to be the best ending to a video game I've ever experienced. You already know going in that going against the Samurai Code, you're probably going to lose everything. I mean, you're almost guaranteed to lose everything because that's who provided you everything. It's going to cost you everything that you have. But the way it just jumps out at you that it's beyond costing just your livelihood, but it's costing you life itself, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch unravel. And then you watch Shimura break down in tears because he's having to kill his only family left because you went against the code and he's a slave to it. They literally say that in the game, which I couldn't have, a lack of better words. I had to just use them directly. And here's my thing. I didn't know how I wanted the story to go, whether I wanted Sakai to lose or I wanted him to win, because in my mind, if he would have lost, that would have been a legendary legendary story where Uncle would have had to kill him and kind of be like, okay, well, I have to restart now. And now this legendary figure, the ghost that was someone's last hope, he's now up in the wind. No one knows where he went. No one knows where he is. It's like a legendary kind of tale, right? It sounds like something you would hear in a history. But then at the same time, I love how it really ended where you can either spare or kill Shimura, because it just shows you that even though Shimura had a duty to complete, he was not strong enough to complete that duty, because Sakai has advanced beyond that level where he's not the level of a samurai. He's not a level of whatever. He is a survivor. He is more ninja-like to me. That kind of sounds cringy, but forgive me. It's literally movie-worthy to me. And for an ending, I did decide to spare Shimura, because in my opinion, if I'm going to break the samurai code all this time, why would I do the last little regime to the samurai thing when I've abandoned the entire idea long ago? I've been stabbing people in the back the whole game. I haven't done an honorary thing in the entire game, I don't think. I went into the game wanting to be more ninja-like, and then to do one little samurai thing right at the end, it was just stupid. So I spared. Now, if you did kill him, that is an amazing story too, because doing one last little favor for your uncle and doing as he requested is a very cool story arc. I'd like to imagine that they could reconcile and come back from this later on if they were to continue this game's story in any way or anything like that. They're both still alive, and hell, maybe they could just sleep better at night knowing that they didn't kill each other. Anyway, now as far as the next game goes, Ghost of Yatai, however you say that, I guess, I don't think it'll pick up any of this story. I'm not 110 on that. I don't know. I haven't watched any trailers for it yet, but I will right after this video. I think it will refine all my gripes about the combat being a newer game and such, because again, they just get way more refined. Everything gets better the newer it gets, and I know that they like to improve on these things. Let me know how excited you guys are to see the next game that's coming out. According to my friend Ant, there has been this whole stigma around the game talking about how it's a female protagonist. I didn't know that, but blah, 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 blue, blue, blue. It doesn't matter, dude. It's going to be an amazing game, and I can't wait to see what it has to offer myself. And let me know what you guys think down below. And I will be playing Until Dawn for the first time on stream, probably the day of or the day after this video releases. So please, come check if I'm live and experience more stories with me, because I have way more to go. This is my first PlayStation in a long time, and I haven't played these. So that's it. Bye.